Colour. The splitting of light that sends signals across space and time to our minds and is translated into images, ideas and stories. Colour is a fundamental tool in the toolbox of a filmmaker. It could be manipulated through production design, lighting and the final colour grade. In the hands of an aware filmmaker, colour is a powerful device for storytelling, often conveying much more than words can. In my latest short film, I set out to learn more about colour and how to use it to tell a story. Colour theory is a set of rules that guides us in visual storytelling. Rules that are meant to be learnt, followed, and at times meant to be broken. The easiest way to describe colour is perhaps through HSL: hue, saturation, and luminance. Hue refers to the colour itself. Red, blue, yellow, green. We can view these colours on a colour wheel to gain a better understanding of how they relate to each other. Filmmakers might decide to use an analogous colour palette, colours which land on the same side of the colour spectrum. Or they might choose to show complementary colours which are diametrically opposed to each other on the colour wheel, such as red and green, teal and orange, purple and yellow. Other colour schemes include triad, split complementary, and tetradic, all with their own purpose and in the hands of a filmmaker can significantly influence the emotions of the audience. More on this later. Next is saturation, which refers to the intensity of the colour. Saturation can often be a vital tool in conveying tone and mood in a story. Finally, luminance or brightness. This is how dark or bright a colour is, changing how vivid it appears. But how can we use colour theory to infuse our stories? We often associate colours with emotions. Red can invoke romance, but it can also represent anger. How we perceive colours and their connotations can vary from person to person, but a filmmaker can anchor meaning to a colour. In the film, I wanted the antagonist to be whimsical instead of threatening, matching the tone of the overall narrative, and so I chose a slightly different HSL value, pink, rather than red, a more obvious choice perhaps when creating conflict. And yet, the use of black in the shadows is a more traditional approach to an antagonist. Think Darth Vader in all black. Colour conventions and connotations are there to be challenged. In my research, I found that consistency was key. The filmmakers I watched established a colour's meaning and then used it throughout. Its impact heightened, and then any changes to the colour equilibrium signified a narrative change or character change. I set out to use colour schemes in my film to convey meaning, but also to improve my understanding of cinematography and production design in relation to colour. Each prop, set and costume was chosen to sit within the colour palette. White balance was chosen to match the warmth or the coolness of a sequence. And elements colour graded to better match hues, such as this blueprint. In the first sequence, I opted for an analogous colour palette, void of vibrant hues. I wanted this sequence to show a world void of vivid colour, and then the MacGuffin, the book, is brought into the narrative and so is the colour. Using complementary colours to their full effect, I wanted to steal from one of the best users of colour in filmmaking, Wes Anderson. Saturated colours creating a storybook world full of wonder and whimsy, utilising complementary palettes for conflict and analogous colours for harmony. We begin in equilibrium with an analogous colour palette and return to the analogous palette at the end when the equilibrium is re-established. Okay, I definitely think there was far more potential for the use of colour in this film, and I could have assigned more meaning, but this exercise has made me more considerate about each frame of my stories. I found myself contemplating every element of the composition, small tweaks going a long way to improve the quality of a shot. Consistency increased the production value tenfold, and the process of intentional and considered filmmaking has been increasingly enjoyable.